Hey everyone, David C. Anderson here coming at you from the Knife Center, and it's our favorite time of the week because we're taking a look at the coolest new knives that have just hit our shelves. Let's check them out. All right, first thing this week, several new exclusives to talk about, actually. Pretty big percentage of the table here by area anyway. Starting off with some new versions of the MKM Makro Pocket Fixed Blade from our good friends over there in Magnaco, Italy. But here they be with red lava flow fat carbon handles. It's a bit of a tongue twister, actually. The lava flow fat carbon. That's what it sounded like in my head anyway.
Blah, blah, blah.
But yes, exactly. But they look a lot better than it sounded the way I was speaking of them anyway. Really cool knives. This has been a very popular knife since its introduction. We've got a restock of the standard models in now, as well as our exclusive has now hit the shelves. And these are going to be the same price as the standard carbon fiber version, that being just under 175 bucks. You've got your two blade shapes, the drop point right here, and the, say it, just say it, get it over with.
Don't know what you mean.
Thomas is teasing me now. Yes, it's kind of a reverse Tanto, or you want to say a clipped off sheep's foot modified blade profile. I would accept that as well for full credit. Both of them feature M390 steel. Both of them are a little bit on the stouter side. They do that for two reasons. One, you're going to get, especially I think with the modified sheep's foot profile here, a very sturdy, kind of hard-working utility blade with the durability and strength that comes with a thicker blade stock like this. It also allows them to offer this knife without the handle scales and do a skeletonized version that is also available right now, but not exclusive to us. If you'd rather go with the drop point blade shape, I think both of them work very well as an everyday carry. The drop point may give you a little bit more versatility because of the extra belly there in terms of the types of tasks you might want to commit this blade to. But I love the precise feeling, the precision that dropped tip is going to give you for those, just scoring utility type tasks. Whereas the drop point may give you a little bit more versatility overall. It all depends on your technique, of course. As far as the feel in the hand, it's about a 3.5 finger grip for me. And actually, when choked up just a little bit, I can get all 4 of my fingers on there just barely. In other words, you get a full-sized grip in any case. Things are put together quite nicely. The spine is crowned. It's crowned all the way back up to the heel of the blade there, so it's nice and comfortable. And then the edge itself is not ground through that heel, so you get a little extra safety since your finger is not resting right on the actual back of the sharpened edge, which is a nice thing, don't you think? The sheaths on these knives are leather. They're ambidextrous, they are magnetic, and they are designed for pocket carry primarily. You can see here you've got the magnetic flap, holds it quite nicely there. That allows you to stick it in your pocket and fold the flap over to hold it thusly. Slip the knife in and you are ready to go. It's a little stiff right out of the box, but that's what you want because it's going to kind of mold to the knife and break in nicely, so it'll be a little more easy as time goes on to withdraw the knife. If it were super easy right out of the box for a sheath design like this, it might get too loose down the line. You could also carry this in as a neck carry with the handle up, just thread some paracord through there. The magnetic extension there is not unbreakable, but it is pretty strong enough that I would feel fine carrying it neck fashion. Next up, we have a new Boker exclusive. This is the Little Friend. Say hello to my little, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said it. I shouldn't have said the quote, it's fine. But here you go. A bit of a performance bargain here, actually. Price on this is going to be about $150, so it's about 23 bucks less than the standard S35 VN version. However, we've been able to secure some pretty significant upgrades here at a pretty good price. Burlap micarta handles is the most obvious change. You can see that right there. Red pivot collar, gold backspacer, but that's what you really want to see right there. S90V steel. Incredible edge retention on a folder like this. The blade's just over 3 inches. Incredible edge retention for the price, too, on a stainless blade. Of course, S90V, in addition to holding, or not in addition, but it holds an edge a very long time. It is very stainless. It is not, however, the toughest steel out there. So, much like we did with our Spyderco Shaman exclusive in this same kind of configuration, we picked a model here that has slightly thicker blade steel than average. So you still get enough strength that you would feel comfortable, or I would feel comfortable at least, doing larger or more tough jobs with this knife. And yet you still have a broad shape and a high enough flat grind that your geometry for slicing is not going to be impeded too much. Pretty cool. This is a Jesper Vakne's design, as you can see from the Vox logo there on the back. Deep carry pocket clip, right side tip up only, with it nestled into the scale itself, and actually not even flush mounted screws, but slightly buried screws from the level of the clip right there. So you've got a very easy clip to use, nothing to snag going back in your pocket. Ball bearings in the pivot with a flipper and your blade cutout, which lets you do the reverse flick very, very nicely. And of course the standard flick just as well. Next up, a KnifeCenter exclusive release. We are happy and proud to be able to help debut this knife from the Demko Knives Foundation. We'll call them Foundation, why not? The Machine Ground FREEREIGN from Demko Knives. The cool story about this is it's not too much more expensive than the standard AUS 10 Taiwan-made models. Those come in about $150. This right here comes in just under $200, but for that, you're getting a MagnaCut blade. Powder metal steel, and pretty much the hottest knife steel around right now. It's not gonna hold an edge necessarily quite as long as your S90B, but it's still gonna hold an edge a very long time. It's going to be very stainless, very, very stainless in fact, and it's going to be very, very tough, even without the added benefit of extra blade thickness. You've got, a relatively thick blade here, not a sharpened pry bar though by any stretch of the imagination. So incredibly well-rounded blade here, 5-inch drop point with a high flat grind, about 5/32 of an inch thick. Just a powerhouse right there. And that blade itself is made in the United States. The steel, of course, MagnaCut, is made in the US, but it is then being ground and turned into a blade here in the States, and then the handle and the sheath are being shipped over from Taiwan, and everything's being assembled right here. There's one color at this point in time. You've got this Ranger Green. OD Green is what we're calling it on the website, which is probably appropriate because that's what color it is. Feels pretty good. It doesn't have anything by way of contouring up and down, but it doesn't feel like it's missing that contouring at the same time. The shape just plain works. You've got some finger guard there for protection against slipping forward, and you've got an exposed tang there at the back for bashing and hammering purposes if needed. There's nothing here that does feature a crisp edge. If you like using the spine of your knife to strike a fire steel, you're gonna need to mod this knife to meet your needs there. But the trade-off there is you've got this nice tumbled finish on top of the chamfered edges right there. The tumbled finish would, of course, round over those edges anyway, but I'm a big sucker for a tumbled finish like this because it looks great, I think, and it's gonna help the knife look great even longer because scratches tend to blend in a little bit. If that wasn't cool enough, the MagnaCut is certainly a really nice upgrade there, but the sheath has honestly been, with this knife, always a pretty great selling point in my opinion. It's patent pending, and it's like a bi-material thing. You've got a center core here of nylon, which doesn't have any glass fiber reinforcement, which means it eliminates anything that might accidentally dull the edge of your knife as you insert it in and out of your sheath. Some other sheath materials that use a glass reinforcement process, those glass fibers are harder than most of the knife steels you're dealing with. Not so here, you don't have to worry about that. But they couldn't make the entire sheath out of nylon without losing the stability they needed, essentially. So the color matched section here around the perimeter is a glass reinforced material, I believe, but a different injection molded material nonetheless. The cool thing also is you can actually take this sheath apart. The perimeter sections can be removed, and the two halves of the center section can be split open. Makes it real easy to clean out, which is something most Kydex sheaths or injection molded sheaths that are riveted together just can't do. The retention is quite nice. You do have an extra retention strap with a snap there, just in case you want a little extra. You've got a Velcro and snapped connector there on the belt loop itself. And then of course with the slots here. You're gonna be able to use all kinds of aftermarket stuff if you'd rather use that for your attachment methods. As we're filming this, these are moving really quickly, but we do have more coming in. If for some reason they've sold out before this video posts, more are on the way. So you should be able to get your pre-orders in at the link below, unless for some reason they decide to turn that off for a minute. I won't know that until the video goes up, unfortunately.
It's in the future.
It's in the future, because we're from the past right now. Next up, 4 more exclusives this week. We have 4 Dragon Swiss Army Classics from Victorinox, featuring artwork from Leela Ray. Here they are. You've got an orange one. Actually, do we have names for these? We have the blue ice dragon, the green dragon, the purple water dragon. I should have memorized these. And the red fire dragon. Heads on the front, tails on the back. Oh, you could flip this kind of like a coin to solve some bets if you wanted to. Heads, tails. I actually really love that.
Okay.
This guy's giving me nothing to work with over here.
Coins anymore.
So yeah, well there you go. You can still do heads or tails with something like this. There you go. I'll flip it over. You got the Victorinox logo on the back with the tail sections of each. Pretty cool graphics, and of course it is a Swiss Army classic. So it's got that classic complement of tools. Great for the keychain, great for everyday carry. If you just want a small knife like this, you've got a small pen blade, you have a nail file with a small Phillips on the end. Those are the tools on one side. Opposite that, you have your pair of skizzors, and of course your toothpick and tweezers there on the end, in classic Victorinox classic fashion. Check those out right now. Prices on these about $24. Next up, these dropped earlier today, actually, which is in the future for us as we're filming this, but it's in the present, or in the past for you when you're watching it. So we should stop with this timey-wimey stuff, shouldn't we?
Them now.
I'm confusing myself.
It's all wibbly-wobbly now.
These knives debuted earlier today. They debuted at SHOT Show earlier this year. They finally are available for shipping earlier today. 3 new colors of the popular Benchmade Bugout. All of them $180. This one right here is the Crater Blue. Comes with a nice kind of tan Cerakote. Reminds me a little bit of the Dozier Hunter in Folding Hunter in D2 from K-Bar. Similar color aspects going on here, but of course a much more premium blade steel here with your S30V. Still maintains the nice thin cross section with the high flat grind that the Bugout is known for. Great everyday slicing geometry, incredibly lightweight to about 1.8 ounces. The Cerakote might add a 0.0 something of an ounce to the weight of the knife, but really gonna make a difference to you. There you go, that's the Crater Blue. We also have Storm Gray. Comes with more of a charcoal style Cerakoted blade coating. Action's still quite nice. And then we have the Alpine Glow. This one right here, the Alpine Glow, is going to be limited production. This is what they're calling a seasonal release. They're gonna have a few different colors that kind of come and go as time goes by for the popular Bugout model. So if you do like this color, don't know how long we will have them. I really don't. I don't know whether we're gonna have them for a week or 3 months or whatever the case may be. So in other words, if you like it, don't sleep on it. Go for it. There you go.
It's a Bugout. And
it's a Bugout. I'm actually was carrying a Bugout earlier today, but then I wanted to hone it, so I put a different knife in my pocket. But do you still carry your Bugout every day?
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, we both carry Bugouts. It's a fantastic knife. Next up, new versions of the Tactile Knife Company Rockwall, now available as a Tanto. So it's the tactical Tanto. It's the tactical Rockwall Tanto from Tactile.
We're getting wibbly wobbly again.
There's too many tech-talks going on with this knife. It is the popular Rockwall liner locking knife with MagnaCut blade, now available in this rather angular Tanto. Really cool looking shape, actually. Plenty of leading edge right there, as opposed to a kind of a stubbier take on the Tanto, which I think day-to-day is probably going to be more useful for more people. Generally speaking, I'd say. Price on this, $329, like most of the other special edition or non-standard edition Rockwalls, I should say. This one comes with a stone-washed finish on the titanium handles, as opposed to their standard milled grooves going on. Deep carry pocket clip, right side tip up only. Liner lock, ball bearings in the pivot, a very nestled in blade shape, kind of used to that executive style. If you wanted an executive Tanto blade, well, this is your thing right there. As you can see, the action on these is quite nice, especially once you've really gotten used to them. I carry one of these on occasion as well. Not the Tanto, but you know what I mean. And that nice flick does get to be so satisfying over time. MagnaCut blade too, as well. And we already talked about why. That is a cool material. So there you go. Speaking of everyday carry Tantos, we have the Jake Hoback Goliath, the tongue-in-cheekly named, perhaps, Goliath. This is a pocket fixed blade, another pocket fixed blade today. I'll go ahead and show you the sheath first, if I can locate it. Here it is. Kydex with a standard bent sprung pocket clip right there. That's how it holds. But once you're ready to use the knife, you just, of course, pull it out, and the retention on that clip is pretty strong, and in fact, the pinch point actually sits in a small hole inside the Kydex there. So you've got a lot of kind of friction to keep that steady and keep you from accidentally drawing the sheath with the blade. Here is the blade. We've got a marbled carbon fiber handle with a 20 CV blade here, about 3.5 inches. But we have a titanium handle as well as a twill carbon fiber handle option right now. The titanium handle has I believe, a stone-washed blade. The twill also has a black stone-washed blade like this one does right here. 20 CV steel. This knife is made in the States, and it is a small little Tanto fixed blade. You've got some agility to it. You've got edge retention with that 20 CV. Carries quite flat in the pocket inside that sheath due to the narrow scales right there. And despite, I've said this before, despite the finger groove being pretty small for someone with larger fingers like myself, you can kind of just ignore it. It has, even with that in mind, a pretty nimble feel. If you needed something with kind of a gorilla grip for like heavy cutting, to me, this kind of isn't it. I don't get what I need for something like that. This is more just about smaller and precision cutting. Light to medium duty day-to-day stuff, but it's made quite well for that. Price on those are going to be just over 200, about 205 right now. If you don't have that in your budget, but you still want a knife this week, how about $57? The new CJRB Chord has arrived. Very cool knife. I've got 2 of the 3 versions that we have right now, the stainless steel skeletonized version, as well as what they call a gray G10, but I've always said it has a bit of blue, or a lot of blue in that gray. Green micarta is also available. This is a different knife here that I'm holding up with the green micarta, but you can get an idea for the look of that. The specs on this knife though, 3.5 inch blade, RPM 9 powder metallurgy steel. If you're unfamiliar with it, think of it, or the way they've kind of described it to us initially, and seems to have been borne out at least by people's experiences, something like edge retention approaching at least a well heat treated D2, but it is stainless and it is tougher as well than your D2 tool steel. 3.5 inches drop point profile. Nope, I'd say that's a straight clip point right there with the straight edge. Swedge, high flat grind, appropriate blade thickness, not too thick, not too thin. Just a good all-around compromise for your cutting efficiency and enough strength to not feel like you're gonna snap the blade off doing some bigger cuts. We have a deep carry pocket clip. It is not inset, but we do have flush mounted screws, eliminating a snag point right there. We do have a button lock on this knife with ball bearings in the pivot, and you know what that means. You get to do this thing, which makes it fun for Thomas to follow what I'm doing over here.
I'm just gonna look at the wall for a while.
Here you go. Which means you can do that fun thing right there. There's also 2 opening methods between the dual thumb studs and the flipper tab, so you've got plenty of different ways to open this if you're the kind of person who likes to do some fidgeting with your knife, or if you just like experiencing the tactile sensation of the way this thing works. That's quite a nice thing. Oh, I said tactile again. This is kind of a tactical knife design too. So this is not a Tanto though.
Just took a turn.
It sure did. They feel super solid. There's plenty of length on the handle. I have slightly larger than average sized hands, and I've got just enough grip there without gloves. Most people are gonna have, I think, no real problems with this sized handle. And it's just a classically styled blade that's gonna flex into a lot of different roles. Everyday carry, work, hunting, and outdoor if you want to, and of course, tactical too. The same things can be said about the Riff from CJRB. Oh, I get it, chord, riff, it's guitar terms. Or just musical terms in general, I should say. The same kind of things apply to this knife, but with a little more, we'll say slightly more adventurous styling. 3.5-inch RPM 9 blade, a little bit more expensive, $67. I guess there's a bit more material going on there, and a bit more complexity to the machining perhaps with this nice big fuller on the blade. And the handle is still offering enough grip for me and is a bit more neutral. So if you do have even larger hands, snaking off the back of that handle might feel a little more comfortable than on the Chord. Something to keep in mind in any case. Deep carry clip, same thing, not inset, but you do have flush mounted screw heads. It is, both of these are reversible for left or right hand carry, which is great because even though, as I always say, the button lock is right hand biased, it's still very usable, even for not a lefty in one's left hand. This is the green micarta. As you can see, it comes with the stonewash blade. You can also get it with a black blade, and you can get the stonewash or black blade with a black G10 handle instead of the green micarta. So options is always nice, or are always nice. As far as opening here, you don't have the thumb studs, but you still do have the flipper with the ball bearings. So you've got those two things going, and that fuller can still allow you to do thumb or reverse flicking opening. No problem there too. And one less obstruction in the edge of the cutting path, even though they did a nice job of keeping that thumb stud tucked nicely behind the cutting edge there. It's kind of two different flavors of a similar recipe right here for a similar price at very least. Not quite the same, but both cool knives to be checked out. Now we're going to shift gears for a kitchen knife here. We have the Spyderco Counter Critter, which is basically just a larger version of the Counter Puppy, if you're familiar with that knife. Comes in $38.25. You've got a 4-inch 7CR blade, full flat grind, just kind of a general utility kitchen knife, small utility kitchen knife or big paring knife. It's a little on the larger side for a parer, but could still be done. And the cool thing about them are the 4 little feet right there. It just sits right on your countertop. So instead of something laying on the side where the edge might be hitting the countertop, getting dirty, worry about cross-contamination potentially, you can just set it right there and you don't have to worry about that. Also keeps the edge pointed down if you've got errant hands running around the kitchen. Could be a little bit safer too. Check those out. 2 colors. You've got the purple and a blue, and they are each available with the fully plain-edged blade here or a full serrated blade too. Next up, we have an outdoor hunting blade that could also work pretty well in the kitchen too, actually. Some new versions of the LT Wright Northern Hunter here. This is the large size, about $185 for this knife. And you're getting a 4 3/8 inch blade, AEBL stainless steel. So really, really good and tough stuff. Very tough for a stainless, which on an outdoor knife that you might be thrashing or abusing, toughness is always a good thing. And AEBL holds an edge a good long while too. It's not going to equal your MagnaCut, but it is a very respectable edge holder. I've always found to be the case in any way. The handles are black and orange G10 with the twisted pattern going on. Each groove milled in by hand, and you might think it would raise some hot spots, but it feels super, super good in the hand, I've got to say. Great as a hunter, like I mentioned, or I didn't mention that, but its name suggests it is a great hunter. And like I mentioned, also good in the kitchen. You've got this continuous belly to the edge, and the other part is the way the handle kicks up, which allows you to get just a little bit of finger or knuckle clearance there to bring that edge to bear on a cutting board. So really good for slicing through stuff in that type of usage. The steel itself is 1/8 inch thick, so you've got enough toughness, especially when it's made out of AEBL like this, The spine is crisp enough to throw sparks from a fire steel in typical LT Wright fashion. Just it's typical LT Wright quality. I don't know what much more to say. It's fantastic. Comes with a JRE Industries leather sheath with a dangler and a fire steel loop. So everything's ready to go right out of the box. There you go. A few different, other different new LT Wrights in stock right now, but this one I think is the coolest one, so that's what gets shown today. We got another orange knife here. This is the Hell Gap from the James brand, a new version of this with an orange G10 handle here. $279 for this. You've got a 3.8-inch S35 VN blade. Classic versatile drop point. It's a little bit thinner, maybe 3/32 of an inch. Chamfered edges here, higher flat grind. It's gonna be a very good slicer, very nimble handler too. This is not a hand filling grip with the G10 slabs here. It's more of that, it goes more for that agility thing, especially with the thumb bevels here at the front too. It's really nice in that pinch grip especially. It'll still do the Gorilla Grip if you need it to, but unlike one of the other knives we looked at this week, the edge does come through the back end of the heel right here, so be careful how you grip that. You don't want your finger to walk up onto that edge. Everything does feel nice and premium though. It does come with a Kydex sheath here. You will have to supply your own belt hardware for this, however, and a large tech lock will fit these holes here, no problem. So those will work. This VVT clip will work. A small tech lock is not going to work with the hole spacings that you've got here. We have another pocket fixed blade. That excites me. 3 pocket fixed blades in one video. New versions of the Abbey, which is this small little Warncliffe shaped fixed blade. RPM 9 stainless steel here, so surprise, surprise, that's definitely being made by Artisan Cutlery and CJRB for the James brand. $79 for this rosewood handled version, and it comes with this leather pocket slip right here. So throw it in there, slip it into your pocket, and you're good to go. A little bit of an aid to fishing it out of your pocket. You do have this fob sticking out, so if you're rooting around in your pocket, you can find that. You'll be able to pull the whole package out and then remove the blade, no problem. And the original kind of design intent for this was something to open, vinyl records. The Abbey, think Abbey Road, kind of has a nice little name to it, or a nod to it there. But it's just a small, unobtrusive, sharp edge. Great for opening your packages day to day. And I think that's really where it's probably going to be used most, or where I feel like it would be most comfortable. Opening up the tape from shipping boxes, clam packaging, that thick, annoying plastic packaging that some stuff comes in, any stuff like that. This small, acute little edge, little point with the sharpened edge is going to be quite nice. And last but certainly not least, we have a new Baron Sun balisong. This is part of the Red Widow series. 2 blade shapes and a trainer with these black coated handles and red coated blades with some graphical elements here. You've got the spider web, as you can see, and the spider too. Don't forget about the spider. The cool thing about these, oh, did I say the handles were stainless steel? Because if I did, I meant to say they're made of zinc. Black slotted zinc handles. That's what our website says anyway. Screw together construction, not pinned construction like some of the less expensive Baron Sun's Bally's, but this one's still not pricey. Comes in about 63 bucks, so still very attainable. The action can use a little breaking in, but it's not terrible. It's a bit better than the pinned construction versions there that they have, certainly. And of course, you can tune it a little bit if you need to. Definitely a striking look though. This is the Tanto, as you can see. We've also got the trainer, like I mentioned, and a new drop point. And those join the previously existing Tanto and clip point versions. There's a different Tanto shaped blade still available. They call that the armor piercing blade shape. I don't know if that's...
Results may vary.
Yeah, your mileage may vary. Depends on the armor, I guess. But there you go, check it out. Definitely a striking look, and the action is definitely a step up from the cheaper pinned models too. All right, that's all I've got for you this week. Make sure you let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and make sure if you're interested in one of these knives, hit the links in the description of this video. Those will take you over to KnifeCenter.com, where you can earn some free money to spend on your next knives by purchasing one of these knives today because, of course, of our Knife Rewards program. I'm David C. Anderson from the Knife Center. That's Thomas behind the camera, and we're signing off. See you next time.